I would like to just use, thank you. These are residents and neighbors, so that's so fun. Thank you. I'd love everybody to just stand up for just 15 seconds. I know you've been sitting and listening, and I'm used to working with teenagers, so I know the glazed look starts when you've just been listening a lot. So stretch a little bit, just kind of be in your space, in your body. Shake around a little bit, and whenever you're ready, have a seat. And if you want to stand and listen, that's fine too. So I wanted to talk about what makes you come alive, what you're passionate about. People tell me when I talk about, I call them my kids. They're not actually kids. They're 16 to 22-year-olds, but I love them as if I had bore them myself. They're family to me. So when I get talking about them, people say, you just light up. You come alive. So I want you to think today, as we talk, as I share my story, what makes you come alive? What could you talk about for hours? What energizes you versus depletes you? A little bit about my backstory and why I get so excited when I talk about the youth that I work with. I was a correction officer right out of college in Southern California, and my degree's in psychology, and I was one of the weird ones that chose law enforcement as my internship, which started this journey for me. I think what was huge for me was I hadn't been around this issue. I didn't grow up with anybody being incarcerated, so I didn't know how many young people are in our society that feel completely hopeless of ever getting out. And when I began to hear their stories of young people not expecting to live to see their 18th birthday, that was so eye-opening for me and so tragic. One of the stories that really kind of inspired me to launch the journey that I'm on now was a young man that I had been encouraging him. He was one of the leaders in his gangs, and he didn't see any hope for school, for anything other than just continuing the legacy that was all around him, from uncles to friends to cousins, and had been able to kind of convince him, no, this is not the only option. And we would talk about his dreams. We would talk about what he would love to do if he could do anything. He completed the program, did really well, had caught up in school. It was a probation lockdown boot camp type facility that we were working at. And he had even made a little wood shop thing for me as a gift when he graduated. Said, when I get out, I'm going to do good. I'm so excited. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to turn my life around. But the unfortunate thing was we put him right back in the same environment. Once he got out, went right back to his home, same environment. Dad had flaked out on his promise to be involved in his life. Mom's busy with boyfriends, and unfortunately some that were abusive. He's got little siblings to take care of. He's feeling like the man of the house and responsible to take care of them. And it's one thing to tell somebody to do the right thing, but when your only social base, the only support you have are people that are in that gang, that are there for you, but now you're supposed to completely walk away from them too, so you don't have anybody at home, you don't have any friends, and you also lose your protection when you walk away from that. And then we have nothing else to offer them. So what happened, this young man called and said, I want to come back to jail. And can you help me? That hit me because I thought, wow, if you feel safer in jail and more supported and more hope in jail than being free when you're a 15-year-old, something is really wrong with our system. So I asked them, what is it that you need? What is the thing that you feel like would help you break out of this cycle? And they said jobs, a sense of family, because that's what the gangs were offering. And also a sense that my life matters, that purpose, right? So this is kind of where the dream of a youth-run supper club came from. Long story in between there, but we're going to condense it, is, okay, well, I went around trying to help these young people get jobs. I ran a gang prevention program, tried several different things, and the hard, tricky part is if you kind of look sort of like a hoodlum or a thug to the exterior, people are intimidated, right? So then if you also have a felony, that's not super attractive to hire. So these are all the things they're coming up against. So I'm like, okay, well, if we know that this would actually break the cycle, but it's hard for them to get jobs, then we're going to have to create something that will actually hire them specifically and mentor them in that process. So I just started asking God, give me a vision for, what could be the answer that would address a lot of these different things. So it was a youth-run supper club where the youth are running all aspects of it. Okay, so here's the challenge. I want you to pretend that you're all potential donors and investors, okay? And I come to you and I say, okay, I have this idea. It's gonna be a restaurant, and I don't have any restaurant experience. Okay, I was a waitress for 4 months, but when I was 19. I have no business background. I have no celebrity chef. I would like to open it up in the Bayview. And what's the other thing that was a big, oh yes, and with youth that have never worked before, that may have some anger issues, and they're coming right out of jail. And I know 9 out of 10 restaurants fail, and restaurants have the smallest profit margin. So would you invest in me? So you can imagine I didn't get a whole lot of takers. So a lot of challenges. I worked with what I had. I had an apartment. I got volunteers, anybody I could talk to, anybody that I could rope in to help teach my youth. Oh, you work at a restaurant, great. Would you come and teach them how to serve? You're a chef, that's awesome. Could you come and teach knife skills? So this was kind of how I started. A lot longer than I expected. Took about 7 years of doing the pilot and just showing. But miraculously, through lots of hard work, in 2012 we opened our restaurant. It moved from my house to an actual building. And I'm going to show you. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and show the video.
I don't know who I am yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, before, I used to be called a monster, because I never cared about nobody. I didn't love nobody. I hated everybody that was in my path.
I used to be in a gang. I sold lots of different drugs. I've done drugs. I used to rob people and just do all around bad things.
Like when you grow up in a war zone, people think, just watching on TV, it's way different than you been living in it. And seeing guns, seeing people get chopped off, like just a slice of meat.
When I would watch my mom and dad fight, and it just gets so crazy where, they're throwing dishes, he's taking out knives and stuff. I know I cried because when you get scared as a child, you cry. But at the same time, I was just like, oh, this is how life is.
He said he started drug dealing when he was 3. And I was like, how do you start drug dealing at 3? He says, well, my dad was the big drug dealer in the town, and he would give me this bag of something and say, take it down to the neighbor's house. So if your earliest memories are your dad teaching you to be a good soldier, I don't know if I have the words, but it's like instead of like a dad that's a carpenter giving tools and teaching him how to do it, they've not only not given tools, but they've, by the abuse and by the neglect, they've also stripped them and they have holes. You're constantly grabbing for anything to fill those holes of pain.
Never been happy in my whole life, never. I've been mad my whole life, never been happy, not one time. That's why I always drink and always smoke to take away the pain, but it always come back, so I just get another bottle and drink some more.
I feel like the heart of it started when I was a correction officer working with boys that were in gangs. We watched the revolving door, they get out, they come back, and I just thought, there's gotta be, this is horrible. So I would be looking really tough, right, in my combat fatigues and combat boots during the day and military commands, gentlemen, attention. And then I would cry on the way home. In the middle of the night, I would literally wake up and I would just see it, and it would be, okay, so the kids are running it. So there'd be the business aspect if they wanted to learn that, or cooking, or serving, or hosting, or performing. Here's 10 different things that you can find what your niche is, and will mentor you as an apprentice, and you could just fly.
I'm glad I met Teresa. She changed my whole life. She taught me how to be a better man and how to be a better person.
First of all, that's my mother.
Without old school, it would be a hard time right now, trust me. To be honest with you, I feel I'm supposed to be in jail right now. That's why I like coming here. It just makes me feel better about my life. It gives me hope. Because if I wasn't here, I'd have no hope.
All the stuff I did in my past, I can't change it, but I can fix it. I can change for the better.
We don't want to be labeled with our mistakes for the rest of our life. That's not who we are. Old Skool providing a place that pulls pulls all that down and pulls back all those labels and says, you're safe here. We see the gold in you, and we want other people to see the gold in you, because that's who you really are.
I enjoy being in the kitchen, because I love being with the family in the kitchen.
I can make my own world. I can control everything.
Just giving me the opportunity to feel useful, like there's somewhere I can help or somewhere I can grow and be a better person, whether it's me doing poetry, singing, or even just being a manager. I get to find myself, like find out who I really want to be.
So she's been washing and she's been scrubbing since daylight, but even after that, still she don't feel right. Been skipping meals, she was too disgusted to work up an appetite, and half the night she's spent dreading the sound of her name being called. Answer when he calls your name. Her mother would always say, home should have been her base. Home should have been where she felt most safe, but instead, every minute now he'll be coming, and I look at her and I tell her, run. Run, and don't you look back, you just keep on running. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left. Exhausted as she takes every step. Do not fall back, soldier. But he calls for her name. Sir. Yes, sir.
Whew. It's just really humbling, I think, to get a chance to be a small part of believing in some of these young people and giving them a chance at life. But I still feel like it's them, you know, like I'm just so, like my heart feels like it wants to explode when I see them really push past to get to have old school, to get to have a real place. So when I see somebody's really desperate, I can say, come on over, you know, we have a job for you. But it's real life-changing opportunities to be able to offer that and to not feel helpless when tragic things are happening. That is like,
We are old school. Come on, people, come visit. We're looking for you guys.
Thank you. So you can see why they make me come alive. What makes you come alive? And what's a passion for why you started your business? And I just encourage you to take some time to carve out time to reconnect to that. Why did you start what you started? What makes you come alive? Because it makes you connect to other people. It makes that story come out. And that's the tenacity, often that passion is what keeps you going. Because believe me, there were many nights and many days that I didn't want to do this anymore because I just felt too overwhelmed. But dreams are possible. So connect to that, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.